Hi, my name is Mia, and my story begins with a lot of missing things. For starters, my teeth and my parents. I have a medical condition called anodontia, which means I will never have my own teeth. That's pretty wacky if you think about it. But that's not the craziest thing about my life. Ever since I was young, my parents and I were always moving. At first, I thought it was because they wanted to protect me from the awful people who mocked me. Like one day when I was 5, I was swinging in the park when 2 kids pulled my hair and called me Toothless Granny. I started crying. Mom says I'm cute. She's lying. You dumb gummy bear. Mom flew to my side in a second, and she chased the kids away. The next day, she surprised me with a set of dentures. I was thrilled. We were moving to a new place, and I was starting school soon. Finally, my life was perfect, and no one would ever know my little secret. But a few weeks later, when my parents announced we were moving again, I was not happy. I just made friends at school. I ran outside and tied myself to the tree in our backyard. If you want to take me, you'll have to take the whole tree with you. Of course, Mom untied me in 5 seconds and carried me away. And I realized for the first time that they weren't moving because of me. I drove them crazy asking them the same question for 10 hours. Why do we have to move? Why? Why? I can go on forever. I won't shut up till you tell me. Why? They always said I was too young to understand. For the next few years, we kept moving every 6 months. But when I was in 8th grade, it all finally made sense. We just had moved and I couldn't find my dentures, so I went to look for them in my parents' bedroom. That's when I saw a light flashing from behind the giant painting on the wall. As I moved it, I was shocked by what I saw. A secret room? When I walked in, I saw cool gadgets mounted on the wall and huge monitors everywhere. I opened a folder lying on the table, and I stared at it, dumbstruck. It was filled with pictures of my parents, but they had different names. There was only one crazy but reasonable explanation for all this. My mom and dad were spies. That explained everything. I knew I had to keep this a secret, but I couldn't resist taking some gadgets with me. Binoculars, HD cameras, a telescope. I was in geek paradise. The next day, I was sitting on the bleachers when I spotted Robbie, the hunky football captain, walk onto the ground for practice. All the girls were crazy about him, and he knew it. As soon as some giggling cheerleaders gathered to watch, he took his shirt off. Well, I didn't need to get closer when I had high-powered binoculars. As I was busy drooling over his perfect abs, someone nudged me in the ribs. It was Robbie's awful twin sister, Natasha. Ugh, loser. I know my brother looks like a Greek god, but seriously, get a life. And some self-respect. He's never going to look at you with that face of yours. I was watching birds, not... She walked off before I could even finish. Ugh, what a witch. And what was wrong with my face? I could have Robbie if I wanted. I just had to get close to him before someone else beat me to it. But the very next day, I saw something that broke my heart. Robbie was kissing some girl. I was totally crushed. But a few days later, I caught him making out with another girl. How many people was he dating? I decided to spy on him for a little while longer and discovered that Robbie was dating more than half the class. I couldn't believe I had a crush on this 100-timing jerk. But since I was a sucker for justice, it was my duty to tell everyone about this creep. So I sent anonymous messages to everyone he was dating with proof of his cheating. The next day, Robbie was dumped by 15 people at lunch. I can't believe I was dating a jerk like you. Go kiss your own reflection, Robbie. It felt so awesome to help good people and expose the bad ones. And that gave me a brilliant idea. I set up a website where people could reach out to me with their problems, and I'd help them. Anonymously, of course. With my newfound spying talents, I exposed a bunch of bullies, cheaters, thieves, and gold diggers. And pretty soon, I became a secret hero. Everyone in school was curious about my identity, and I came to be known as The Catcher. As I was going through my long list of requests one day, I was really shocked to see one from Natasha. She said she was secretly dating a new boy, and she thought he was cheating on her. She sounded so heartbroken, I just had to help her. The next day, I followed her boyfriend, Jack, to a restaurant. But I suddenly bumped into someone, and when I looked up, he vanished into thin air. Where'd he go? Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me. Who are you and why are you following me? Also, you're not very good at it. I stared at him stupidly for a few seconds. Wow, this boy was gorgeous up close and smart. Okay, you caught me. Your girlfriend asked me to follow you.
You're lying, because I don't have a girlfriend.
What? Aren't you dating Natasha?
No way. She keeps asking me out, but I'm not interested.
Natasha was such a liar. I texted her and told her I wasn't doing the job for her. My dad is a cop, you know. I can find your identity in seconds. Whatever. I wasn't going to fall for her stupid bluff. The next day when I entered school, I saw something all over the walls that made my heart stop. They were pictures of me with my dentures off, with "Toothless Freak" written on them. Someone took them while I was cleaning my dentures at the washroom after lunch. And there were more posters of me with my camera and binoculars and the caption, "Mia, the ugly creep who's been spying on us." The people I spied on were glaring at me. The people who I spied for were pretending I didn't exist, and the others were laughing at my pictures. And then came the devil Natasha. How's the payback, jerk? You humiliated my brother, remember? No, your brother did that to himself. He deserved it.
I think you framed him because you couldn't have him, you toothless witch.
I think you did all this because you can't have Jack. And you know what? I'd rather be toothless than be an awful person like you. At least I can fix my problem by wearing dentures. But you can't buy a nice personality or a good heart. She stared at me in shock. And just as she was about to attack me, someone suddenly stepped in. It was Jack.
I can't believe you stooped so low, Natasha. Take these posters off, or I'm filing a complaint against you to the principal for bullying.
And with that, he took my hand and started walking away. As I looked back at Natasha, I could see her face turning every shade of purple. After that, Jack and I started hanging out more often, and I could talk to him about anything, even my condition. Then Jack asked me out. Of course I said yes. I also decided to shut down my website. I made a public announcement during lunch. Guys, my spying days are over. You all should learn to deal with your lives yourselves. I focused on my studies after that, and my parents kept sending me money and emails, but it had been a couple of years since I last saw them. That made me kind of sad. I wish they'd been around when I needed them. Jack and I got into the same college. We gave each other a loving kiss with no clue that our lives were going to be flipped upside down soon. One day, I was sitting in the lounge by myself when 50 people in suits barged into my apartment. My parents were with them. Mom, Dad, where have you been?
We'll explain later, darling. We all have to go into hiding right now.
What? I'm not going anywhere. What about college? What about Jack?
Sorry, Mia. This is non-negotiable. Go, go, go!
Before I could protest anymore, the agents literally put me in a car and moved us to a new place. My hair was dyed red, and I was given a new name, Selena. All my social media accounts and the numbers from my phone were wiped clean. And the worst? I was told not to contact Jack for my own safety and his. I couldn't believe it. I'd worked so hard to build my life, and it had been torn to pieces. I got really mad at my parents and decided to run away and live alone. It was my only way to try and have a normal life. I used a different identity to get a part-time job at a cafe, and I continued with my studies. One day while I was working at the cafe, I saw a customer shouting at his wife. I just couldn't stand there and watch. I marched right over and told him off in front of everybody. As a few other people joined me and the rude man muttered an apology, I turned around to see someone I never thought I'd see again.
I thought you were letting people deal with their lives themselves.
Jack? I nearly smothered him with a bear hug. He said he'd been searching for me for a year with no luck. But one day, out of the blue, my parents called him and told him where I was. What? They've known all along where I am? Of course, they're spies.
Yes, but they decided to stay away so you can live your own life. They asked me to take care of you and to tell you that they really love you.
Hearing that, I burst into tears. I wished I could meet them. But of course, I had no idea where they were by now.
It's okay, Mia. I'm here for you now, and I'll never leave you alone.
Soon after I graduated with a business degree, we got married on a beach, and it was perfect. Except that I really missed my parents. We settled into our new home, and I had a good job at a company waiting for me. But I didn't feel really happy. Something inside me wanted to do something that helped other people. And that's how I decided to go into training to become a firefighter. A year later, Jack and I were blessed with twin babies. And now I had to leave them behind to go off to my dangerous job. I understood how hard it was, and how my parents must have felt leaving me behind every time. One day, when I was at home with the kids, I got an emergency call. A huge fire had broke out in a residential building with hundreds of people trapped inside. I dropped the kids at the neighbors and rushed to the disaster site. Just when we thought we'd gotten everyone out, I spotted a little girl inside. Without a second thought, I ran back straight into the burning building, found the child, and helped her climb out through the window. Just as I was about to get out, a burning beam fell on my head and I blacked out. When I opened my eyes inside the hospital, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Mom and Dad were standing by my side. They instantly hugged me tight.
We're so sorry we haven't been there for you, Mia.
No, Mom, Dad, I understand that you had something really important to do, and I'm really proud of you guys. But I still think what you did to me wasn't fair.
We don't expect you to forgive us now, but please let us make it up to you for lost time.
I decided to give them a chance. Fast forward 6 months, and I fully recovered and I'm back at my job. My parents have retired from their exciting lives now, and they live right next to me. Even if they couldn't really experience my childhood, I don't want them missing out on their grandkids. And I forgave them eventually.